Alright, fuck. Okay, I think I got it now. My mic was being shitty. I've never actually recorded anything like this. I've only recorded music before, so I think this sounds fine probably. Um, but okay. I've never recorded anything before. I've never posted anything before. Um, but I'm gonna fucking do it. Actually, you know, everybody under the age of 30 has had the thought, when you're a child and the internet's this brand new thing and you're looking at fucking Fred videos or PewDiePie or whatever the fuck when you're 8 years old and you're like, dude, I could be internet famous. I can scream into the microphone. But I never did that because it'd be a pain in the ass and it's also kind of fucking gay. But I had a revelation today. Had a pretty fucking interesting day. First of all, I fucking watched UFC 303. I watched Pereira fucking kill Yuri Prohaska after Yuri was fucking doing the burning of the witch ceremony all week and saying Pereira is using black magic shamanic fucking spiritual rituals and shit. That was badass, but it kind of sucked watching Prohaska just get fucking slept like that. But anyway, and I fucking laid some bark out there for a couple hours in my yard. I came in, I had a shower beer, the pinnacle of, you know, white culture, and I was having my shower beer. I had a revelation that when I'm going through YouTube, the best fucking videos out there are 30 plus minutes long about some irrelevant fucking decade plus old bullshit that is from a channel with 8 views or something. That's some of the best shit out there. So fuck it. I'm not gonna fucking put any effort in. I'm just gonna talk about this shit because I've been playing Black Ops 1 Zombies recently in the last couple weeks. And uh I have some thoughts on the maps, and I feel like everybody who talks about this shit is kind of fucking retarded. I feel like their reasons for liking maps doesn't they don't make any sense. Their reasons for disliking maps doesn't make any sense. So I'm gonna talk about this shit. And yeah, so I played Black Ops when it came out when I was whatever, fucking 12 or some shit. And I played more of the multiplayer. But I played zombies. I played Kino. I played 5 cuz I wasn't gonna fucking pay for any DLC. I already stole my copy from some kid like 3 blocks away, and God knows I wasn't paying for any of this shit. But I played Kino. I played 5. As a child, it fucking scares the shit out of you because you don't know, video games are fake or whatever. But I wanted to have a little bit of a nostalgia trip. I was thinking about it for some reason. I don't even know. I found plutonium. Plutonium is this holy typing. It's a way to play Call of Duty on the personal computer for well, I don't know. They tell you to buy it on Steam nowadays, but you don't really have to. I bet even this brings it up, doesn't it? Yeah. Anyway, don't tell anybody. But I've been playing this shit again. I played through all the DLC maps I never got to play, so that's pretty fun. I played World at War recently as well, so I played the World at War versions of all these remastered maps. Well, I'm kind of going to talk about those both between World at War and Black Ops, I think. But I'm just going to go through all these because my interest in zombies completely fucking dies after Moon, I think. Black Ops 2 is so fucking annoying. Everything is like to play a fucking map, you have to read a instruction manual that's written in fucking hieroglyphics about doing a 720 while prone knifing the lamppost fucking 8 times or some shit, and I don't know, fucking all the Easter eggs. Just I don't care. I want to fucking play zombies. I want to you know, shoot some shit. But anyway, holy shit. Now I know. Now I know what people are talking about. It's already been like 5 minutes. I haven't done shit. So let's start with Noct. Um, it's yeah, what an exciting start. It is what it is, I guess. Noct is Noct. Uh, you roll the box, you sit in the little windowsill up on the second floor or whatever that is, like around the corner from the stairs. Otherwise, it's where it started. It's hard to be, too harsh on it. It's all right. It is what it is. The worst part about this map is everything spawns in so fucking far away from you. You're sitting there for like a minute straight waiting for the zombies to fucking come close to you. So that sucks. But it's hard to be too difficult on it. I mean, if you want to play zombies for like 15, 20 minutes, it's fine. World at War is better, I think. World at War, the engine sucks ass, and you get fucking black holed into zombies and shit. They like stick to you, but the guns are just more fun. So, I mean, yeah, you just sit on the second floor with a ray gun or an MG40, or well, I guess on Black Ops 1, probably an RPK or something, and it's all right. But it's nothing crazy, nothing special. But it's hard to say it's bad, just because obviously it was the first map. Obviously, it's very limited for that reason. But that's not Verruct. This is Dead Ops. We can just throw that in there right now. But Verruct, I'm gonna put Verruct up pretty high, I think. Okay, I don't know. I played the World at War maps first. I went back through those first. Well, I never had played them in the first place actually, but I went through those first before going to the Black Ops versions, and I started playing them without any, idea what's going on, any research, anything at all. So I was, first of all, fucking confused why Quick Revive is $1,500. I was second of all confused when I spawned in a different fucking location the second time I tried this map. I was really fucking confused when everything started sprinting faster than I could even fucking sprint, and it would just catch up to me and fucking like absorb me into its fucking gravity mass like a fucking black hole and turn me into a fucking pile of meat. So that kind of threw me for a loop. So honestly, the World at War version of this map is fucking awful. It's terrible. It's really not fun at all. But I think the Black Ops 1 version, even though the guns are a little bit less fun than World at War, you still have the wall guns in Verruct. The Thompson's really good. I'm pretty sure the trench gun's also on here. The MP40 is really fun. So the wall guns are good on this map. And that's really important because the power scaling on this map is really just getting your 4 perks and then either deciding I'm gonna use the wall guns and then roll for whatever in the box, like a ray gun or a fucking a Winter's Howl or something. No, I'm just kidding. Excuse me, hiccups. I'll talk about the Winter's Howl when we talk about 5, I think. But I do think it's pretty funny they put the Winter's Howl on this map. This map is not very conducive to the Winter's Howl, and neither is 5, honestly. But anyway. But what I will say is, if the Thunder Gun was on this map, it would be way fucking worse. I don't know. I'm gonna maybe spoil what I think of Kino and even Ascension too, because they both have the same Thunder Gun problem. But the Thunder Gun, it's so fucking boring. It ruins zombies. Okay, the reason Verruct is the reason I'm putting Verruct as high as I am is because the big like overarching problem with zombies in the first place is that past round 30, it's fucking mind-numbingly boring. If you're playing past round 30, you need to be mentally evaluated. I don't, and it's just a problem with the formula. It's really just a problem with the round-based formula, because how else do you make it harder? You have to have some cap on how many zombies spawn in at once, or else there comes like a well, one, hardware limitations, I think, but two, there comes a really pretty pretty obvious point where the player will just have to reload at some point, and there just won't be a viability to get farther. So the 24 zombie limit or whatever, it's kind of a necessary evil. But going past round, like even 25, but especially past round 30, especially past round 35, you're set up. You've got your perks, you've got your guns, you've got your shit pack punched. You've, you're just at that point you're just running in the same. I'm getting ahead of myself because this is my problem with Kino and Ascension, but at that point you're just running in a fucking circle, the same fucking circle over and over and over for however long like your decrepit fucking brain will allow you, and that's just not fun. That's not interesting. The fun part of zombies is like round 4 or 5 through 20, maybe 25. And I think Verrucht kind of avoids that pitfall in general, just by the map structure. Most games of Verrucht I feel like end around round 20, if you, well, get past the first little hump of like round 5 or 6 maybe. Well, maybe a little later. But I feel like most games of Verrucht, if you're doing all right, are probably going to end around round 20. You can maybe get a little bit higher unless you're going completely fucking sweat on World at War. I know people get to around like 20 fucking thousand on this map, and like Jesus Christ. I don't know about you, but when I imagine the mental landscape of somebody who's playing the same match of zombies for over 40 hours, I shudder at the fucking thought. So, but yeah, Verrucht, I think I'm rambling a bit, but I think most people really don't like this map just because it's kind of hard. It's kind of, against the player in a lot of ways. But honestly, the first couple rounds you can just knife because the windows are so close to each other. They're so close proximity. You can pretty much get up to power guaranteed, usually without even buying a gun. Then you can either buy the MP40 or the Thompson or whatever. And then you're chilling. You just go to that big room where there are the two windows on the one side, and then the one like wall that the 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 wall that repairs itself with rocks instead of boards. I don't know how to fucking explain that. The Thompson room. I think that's the Thompson room. But you just go in there. Maybe you keep the staircase closed so you can kind of camp in the corner there by where Mule Kick is in Black Ops 1. You can hold out there pretty good, and then when shit starts to deteriorate, you can do a little train in that room. That room is actually a viable training spot. You do get cut off sometimes, so it's not like... I'm going to talk about training with these other maps, I think, but training is a big problem with this game in general. But you can do a train in this map, and then when shit gets fucked and you're cut off, you can blast your way through and then do kind of a half map train, so it tests your ability to train in tight spaces and then know when to kind of cut your losses and do a half map train and get the hell out of there. So I think the game flow in Verrucht is actually really good. I think it's better in Black Ops 1 because 1... Oh, well, actually, I don't fucking know. I was gonna say because the zombies aren't total fucking bullshit and they don't sprint at you and they don't, like, turn into glue when they touch you, but there's a problem with all these World at War maps and Black Ops where the audio mixing just fucking sucks so bad. So realistically, they're all probably fucking garbage, but the audio, every fucking zombie sounds like it's right behind you. Like, you could have a single crawler on the other side of the map, and it sounds like it's right fucking behind you sprinting. I swear to God. I don't know what they did in the Black Ops versions. The audio is just so fucked. But, and the lighting is kind of weird, too. But that's fine. Gameplay-wise, I think Black Ops 1 Verrucht is honestly really, really, really enjoyable. The other thing about this is so we'll talk about Shi No Numa next, but I think Verrucht does the replayability, does what Shi No Numa wanted to do better than Shi No Numa did it. I think the spawn location being somewhat random is is good for Verruct, just because it changes those first couple rounds that are usually just completely stale in any zombies map. It just a little bit. I think it just helps it a little bit. But really, like everything in Verruct is like the perk locations obviously are static, unlike Shinonuma. But I feel like every match of Verruct is a little bit more variable than every match of Shinonuma. And I guess I'll just throw Shinonuma up here, right, kind of in the middle. I'll talk about that in a second. But I think Verruct is more successful than Shinonuma at what Shinonuma wants to do, and also in the gameplay style. I think it's more fun. But each match of Verruct, yeah, it's the same map, but it feels kind of different because your power level is kind of determined by the box. Because let's be real, you're just saving up for Jug and then the box. Unless you really like the, excuse me, fucking hiccups. That's what a shower beer will do to you, I guess. Unless you really like the Thompson or the MP40 or something, which is viable, I guess, for quite a while. So I guess not. But especially past round like 10 or so, your power level is kind of determined by what you get out of the box. And I think that is a little bit more variable because on Shinonuma, you're just waiting for the Wonder Waff. But on Verruct, you don't have, like I said, I think the Thunder Gun would ruin Verruct. So I think it's good that it doesn't have it. Realistically, the strongest you're going to get on Verruct is your 4 perks and then like a Commando and a Ray Gun or something like that, which I think is a good, healthy balance for the game. And like I said, it avoids the pitfall of going round 25, 30 plus all the time and getting fucking boring as shit. So, yeah, if I want to play zombies for 20, 30 minutes, maybe a little longer, depending, I'm probably playing Verruct, to be honest. So, I really fucking hated this map when I first played it, but as I've played more, I think, yeah, I think this is one of the better maps, actually, in the game. But okay, Shinonuma. I threw this in B. I think it is a step above Noct, obviously. I personally really like Shinonuma. Like, my gut tells me it should be up a little bit higher, but objectively, I don't think it's really there. The thing with Shinonuma is the random perk spawns. Like, with the context of all the maps here, that's what separates Shinonuma. And I don't think it really does anything for the game, to be honest. I think the random perk spawns on something like Moon or Shangri-La are a little bit better. Well, actually on Moon they fucking suck, but on Shangri-La I think they're better. Because on Shinonuma it doesn't actually change anything. It's not hard enough of a map to make it like important that you get Jug on round 4 instead of round 7 or 8. Like, it doesn't actually fucking matter. So you're just rolling for Jug. That's what Shinonuma comes down to, is when am I gonna roll Jug? You know, every match of Shinonuma, they tried to make it replayable by giving you the random perk spawns, but every match, you're probably just opening the same doors in the same order. You know, I personally just go out the fishing hut door, I think it is, the one with the trap, the one with the flogger is fucking badass, by the way. That's what it's called. But the one with the flogger, I just go out there first because you've got a really kind of nice, open, kind of ovalish training area there with a little piece of, like, it's a telephone pole or something. I don't know what it is, but it lets you kind of split the zombies if you have to. And you can just kind of walk an oval right there and have a pretty easy train, and then run down the bridge and turn around and fucking spray them down with whatever you rolled out of the box, or even with the Thompson or something like that. So that train is really easy in Shinonuma. But once you open that, you just train there, and then you, at the end of the round, go roll for Jug until you get it. And then honestly, you're pretty much, you know, that's Shinonuma. That's the gameplay loop of Shinonuma. I feel like the map is, I like that it's constrained and relatively small, but I think that it suffers because there's no real reason for you to go back to other places in the map, especially with all the water everywhere that slows you down. Like, it just incentivizes you to sit right next to the flogger, because the box is usually pretty close to you right there too. Usually that first door, I think actually on solo always that first door is going to be quick revive, so if you go down you go grab quick revive right there. Or you can probably just run over to Jug through the, because you're just collecting a train, so there's probably nothing spawning in over there anyway through the building. So, um, but the other thing about Shinonuma, I like the aesthetic. I like the swamp thing. I like that it's daytime. It's an interesting change of pace. Uh, you know, from the normal kind of just being in a fucking dilapidated hovel, fucking destroyed building or something. I think I think Shinonuma is a little bit creepier. I think it also introduced the four main characters, so that's cool, I guess. I don't really care about the story or the lore or anything like that, but that's cool. Um, dogs. It also introduced dogs. In World at War, dogs were a fucking nightmare, but in Black Ops, they're pretty easy. They just kind of roll over. Uh, so overall, it's a good addition to the game. But that's what Shinonuma has a problem with: is you roll the Wonder Waff, you're pretty much set. Like you can just play this map infinitely. You're pretty much never gonna get caught out in that little training area. You can just Wonder Waff the waves down. You get a guaranteed max ammo every 4 to 6 rounds or whatever it is with dogs. It just, and then if you really have a problem, you can start using the flogger. It it kind of sucks for that reason. But if you're willing to just quit at round 25, I like Shinonuma just for the simplicity. I think it brought a lot to zombies. I don't think it aged very well at all, but I respect it for what it is. I think the other thing is that the worst zombies maps are usually still pretty average. So I think Shinonuma is a little above average for those reasons. So I'll throw it here. Um, yeah, I think that's it with Shinonuma. So let's see. Derice. Derice. I don't know what to do with Derice, to be honest. Um, I think I'll put it here for now. Uh, I think most people would put it, top couple maps of all time. I think I probably still would as well, but I think Derice has a problem with it's kind of a double-edged sword. The reason Derice is really good is because it's like the quintessential zombies map. Okay, you got Pack a Punch finally. You got your perks. Actually, that's something I didn't talk about with Shinonuma. Verruct has a similar problem, but the four base perks are kind of flawed in the way that they work. I think because first of all, Quick Revive doesn't even fucking do anything in World at War. I bought Quick Revive for like 1,500 fucking points in Verruct, and then I was so fucking confused when I didn't actually fucking stand back up once I died. Um, that kind of pissed me off, to be honest. But Quick Revive doesn't even do shit. Double tap doubles your rate of fire. That can be really good. The whole it wastes your ammo. That's you're a fucking retard. It just doubles your rate. It doubles your DPS. Just stop shooting. It doesn't waste your ammo. It doubles your DPS. But the thing about zombies is usually DPS is not the biggest important thing. Usually it's uh, ammo capacity, overall actual damage per bullet, and for the same reason speed is nice, but it's not super useful because your DPS and your reload speed help you in panic situations. But most of the time, if you're playing right, you should just be training and you should have enough time to reload no matter what your reload speed is. You should have enough time to kill everything in the train no matter what your rate of fire is. So like double tap and speed are luxuries. They're nice, but they're not really necessary. But Jug is just actually necessary. It just makes the game playable. So out of the first four perks, the base four perks, all these World at War maps kind of suffer from Jug just being the only thing you really need. Um, so that applies to Verruct and Shinonuma as well, but also in Derice. So I think the variability in Darius is pretty low. I think pretty much every match ends up playing the same, even though it's totally classic. It's got your pack punch, it's got your four perks, it's got, especially in Black Ops One, what helps all these maps is the World at War wall guns because they're fucking badass against the Black Ops One guns, which kind of suck. But in Darius, you usually just stay in the spawn area. Actually, the map layout, the map design is very good. That's, again, it's the quintessential zombies map for these reasons. It's just solid everywhere. Even like the Easter eggs are like unobtrusive, but they're kind of cute. They're kind of cool. Uh, the whole like direction of the zombies like narrative and aesthetic really takes shape here too, if you care about that. Like it's hard to find flaws with the Reese because it was kind of the blueprint for like the actual zombies formula. It kind of struck lightning or whatever. It was lightning in a bottle at that point in time. And I think it has aged very well because of that. It's just classic. But I think that's also its biggest downfall because ultimately, what do you do when you load up Reese? You hang out in the start room, you use the little platforms to reset the zombies' pathing if you need to. Otherwise, you use that little kind of rectangle area to do a easy little train. I do like that the Car 98K is on this map with the little 200 point gun. I think it's on others too, though. I kind of like that, though. It's kind of cool. But, yeah, and then whatever it is, round 3 or 4, maybe round, yeah, probably round 3 or 4, you just choose, do I want to go left or right? It doesn't even fucking matter. Sure, you can like leave the Thompson room stairs locked so you can train in there later, but you don't even need to. I don't even think it's the best place to train on Darius. So it doesn't even matter. Do you go left and get the Thompson, or do you go right and get the trench gun? The trench gun is fucking badass, by the way. I usually get the trench gun on Shino Numa just because it's fun. And it stays good until like higher than you'd expect. So, and Pack Punch is actually pretty good too. But anyway, it doesn't actually matter. It's the same amount of points to get to power, same amount of points to get to jug. Uh, the consequences of like which side of the map you unlock don't really matter for like training or map layout purposes either. And then up till around like 10 or 12 maybe, you're probably camping in that little power area. It's pretty easy. Everything comes at you from way down the way. So you can pretty much just camp there and hit the box. You'll probably get something pretty decent in the first like 5 or 6 box rolls, whatever it ends up being. So then you've got a bunch of points saved up. You already have jug. Again, you don't really need speed or double tap at that point. So you can just go turn on all the teleporters and then pack a punch something. And then you're pretty much set. Then you're just kind of training in that power area up through the back teleporter on the little platform there. I will talk about that in a second. Well, yeah, I'll just talk about that now. So like the train that I think is probably the best on Darius, I think later maps suffer more from the training problem, but Darius does have the training problem as well. And by that, I mean it's really easy to just be safe on Darius. Like you just start in that little power area, you group all your shit up. If you start getting a little overwhelmed, there's probably only 1 or 2 things coming from the back teleporter room, so you can turn around and shoot them and go through there, train through that little area, train through the teleporter room itself, go up the little stairs, jump down. When you jump off the platform, the zombies kind of take a second to repath towards you. You can kind of loop them up there. If you really get stuck, you can go up the stairs and kind of jump off the catwalk. But the issue is like when you're training in the power area, you can get caught. When you're training in the teleporter room, you can get caught if your train is not like compact enough and things are kind of straggling around. But if you're going up the stairs and you're jumping off because you kind of fucked up your train, you've kind of got a blind spot and you've got to try to sneak out around that corner there. And you might get caught, or you got to run up through the tunnel and kind of reset your train that way, and it doesn't really help you that much. So training on Darius is not 100% just automatic like it is on something like Ascension, but it is like ultimately that's what you're doing round 15 plus, unless you're camping on the catwalk, which is just not as fun, I don't think. Or maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe it's more fun because training is kind of boring anyway. But I think Doris, like, it's the perfect zombies map, but it suffers from all the problems that zombies has as a game in general. So I think for that reason, it kind of falls short of like this absolute legendary kind of status that most people give it. Um, but that said, I like if I'm just trying to relax and play a fucking game of zombies with all the trappings, like all the typical zombie shit going on, like Doris is one of the maps I'm looking at. So like it's hard to be too hard on it. I think it's good, but okay. Um, Now the Black Ops maps. So let's talk about Kino. I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag on this one, I think. Um, okay. When you're a child and you're loading up Kino, you, like I mentioned earlier, I think, you don't really know what the game's capable of. It's probably your first time playing zombies, unless you played World at War, and then you have a pretty good idea. But even still, it's the first Black Ops map. It's fucking hype. It's a little bit scary. You don't know what might be different. Even if after you play it a couple times, you probably haven't discovered everything. But then once you know everything there is to know about Kino, or once you played around like 15 or something, it's pretty fucking boring. It kind of fucking sucks actually. So I'm gonna fucking put it in C. It is definitely better than Noct. Realistically, okay, I'll put it in B because realistically, it is better than Shino Numa as well. I kind of like the simplicity of Shino Numa, but Kino is similarly simple. It is better than Shino Numa, but I'm not super high on Kino. I think it's a very, very average map. It like Doris is just Kino plus, and Kino is just budget Doris. It's got all the same problems. Well, I don't know. That's not true. It's got a couple extra problems. It's actually got three other major problems, maybe even four. But I'll talk about those. But Kino, when you're a kid, you're like, oh fuck, dude, it's zombies. Oh fucking swastikas. It's fucking dark in here. Fucking Richtofen's a fucking edgy little funny fucking guy. I don't know what the hell's going on here. Holy shit, I used the teleporter for the first time. What the hell is this like burning child's room? It's got style. It's got that going for it. I like that. And I think everybody has a soft spot for Kino, but when you look at the map, it's got all the same problem. Like it is so bog standard that it suffers from the problems of zombies in general. And I think that'll be a big point I come back to a couple times here is that zombies is just a flawed game mode. And that's why it started going towards Easter eggs, I think, is because at a certain point you realize round 30 plus is fucking excruciatingly boring. How do we make this more interesting? Well, you give a fucking like yeah, like logic problem to fucking solve that actually doesn't make any fucking sense at all. You literally just have to read a fucking fact anyway. You have to read a fucking walkthrough. In Black Ops 2, it got really bad. I never even played Black Ops 3 forward. I kind of fell out of Call of Duty in general at that point. But Black Ops 2, I mean, once you get to Origins, you're fucking you have to you have to study to fucking play that map, and that just sucks. So Kino doesn't fall into that trap, but the reason they went that direction, I think, is because zombies in general is kind of a flawed, and horde modes in general always do this, I guess, across any game. They get boring the longer they go on because at a certain point you're just set up. So, kind of a limitation of the formula. But Kino, the reason I want to put it in C tier, and I might just fucking do it, the reason is because there are three or four big fucking problems with Kino. One of them I already mentioned, it's the Thunder Gun. Okay, the Thunder Gun is probably the worst fucking thing about zombies. It's cool when you're a retard who doesn't know how to fucking play the game, and it makes the game easy. It's cool just in general as like oh, what else is there to do on this map? Oh, roll for the Thunder Gun. Okay, I finally got the Thunder Gun. I got the Zeus cannon. Oh, that's cool. It's It's cool as like a prototypical OP wonder weapon outside of like the ray gun and stuff. But it just it just turns the game into train your wave and left click with the thunder gun. Train your wave, left click. Train your wave, left click. Oh, something's in front of you. Messing with your train, you know, the one skill gap that training has, being able to react and get out of situations, or even just have enough like power level to shoot through it. Oh, you have the thunder gun, so that doesn't even fucking matter. It just kind of makes the game automatic in a way that kind of ruins it. It turns it into one of those things where like, yeah, the problem with like I don't fucking play high rounds. It's so retarded to play high rounds. The difference between round 30, like by round 30, I've basically beaten the game. That's how I view it. The difference between round 30 and round 50, 60 plus is literally just how fucking deranged and unwell you are in the fucking head. It's just how fucking patient you're willing to be and how much of your life you're willing to throw away on one fucking game of zombies. So Thundergun really enables that kind of behavior. It should be held accountable for that. I don't think it should be held in such like, oh, the thunder gun is so badass. I think it ruins the game a little bit. It kind of enables the worst kind of part of zombies, I think. So that's why Varukta I have so high, is because most of the matches are short-lived. But Kino, you can just go forever. But the thing is, I never fucking do. I usually die on round fucking 20 or something on Kino because of this next problem. And that's because the map layout is so fucking boring. There's not enough fucking spawn points in places there should be, but there are too many in places where theoretically you should have some space and freedom. Everybody says fucking train around the stage. I don't like to train around the stage. But realistically, that's where you're gonna fucking train, unless you want to do like the lobby train, which has its own problems, or the alley train, which is actually kind of fun. I'm not amazing at it, but it's kind of fun because it's faster. But the stage training fucking sucks. It's and this is another big problem with zombies in general, especially with these really simple, easy to understand, easy to access maps. Doris has the same problem because at a certain point you've got everything set up and you know the map in and out, and there's not enough that forces you to react, that you just kind of go on autopilot and eventually you fuck up, but it doesn't even feel like you really fucked up because like the game is so, it's like lulling you into a fucking hypnosis. It feels like, it doesn't feel like, oh, I messed up, like, oh, I have accountability over my fuck up and I could do this or that or the other thing. You know exactly what you could do to avoid it, but it's just tedious and annoying that to keep your attention focused on it all the time. And what I'm talking about is training on the stage. When you're down at the foot of the stage, they come from like 5 different angles, and it's easy to get cut off there, but it's also easy to just go up the stage a different way and then jump back off and reset their path and go up the stage. But it's also easy to just get caught on the teleporter or something. It's also easy when you're behind the stage or like on the back side of the stage where the box might be. It's got those 2 like wooden set piece things that completely fucking block your view of the front of the stage. And it's like that might make the game harder or more engaging or more challenging, but not really, because you have to train around those set pieces, those set piece things usually. And yeah, they sneak through the middle there sometimes because you can't keep your train super tight training on the stage because they come from so many different areas. But the issue is you can't fucking see on the other side. And so when you're going around, like if you're going around clockwise, when you're going around the corner by the dressing room, you have to like sprint the whole way and just hope that the third big problem on this map, the fucking little skinny fucking freak, no eyes, fucking gas little monsters in this fucking, German facility. It's not a anti-Semitic thing, but they're a little bit slower and they're a different height than the rest of the zombies. So they just fuck your train up and you go around the corner and then there's like 2 of them and they kind of sandwich you in and then you just get trapped around that corner and it doesn't feel like it's your fault. It feels like you're fucking bored. You don't want to start playing Kino again. You don't want to go through the first 10 rounds of Kino again. And yeah, I just don't want to fucking do something. I just don't want to do it again. I want to do something else at that point. And it doesn't feel like I fucked up. It feels like, this fucking stupid little thing I couldn't see around the corner, the fucking stupid little, disabled fucking zombies on all fours fucking blowing up. It's just not fun. It doesn't feel good. And even when you're running your train perfectly and they're just in the little crowd, it doesn't feel good to shoot down at the rest of the zombies' fucking knees to hit those things and then have them blow up. It doesn't feel good when they blow up on you or you walk through and you can't see anymore. It's just not a very effective second enemy type, I don't think. It doesn't really accomplish anything but being annoying. It doesn't feel like an actual added value to the game like dogs, especially on Derice when dogs start spawning in with the zombies and you hear the little crackle and then they spawn in. You're like, oh fuck, because they're faster. They're not slower. They're faster. They come from different angles. They spawn in places where zombies don't spawn. It's a more effective second enemy type mid wave than the little fucking gas things. Kind of back to the training problem though on Kino. The fucking problem is that when you're running your stage train, or at least me, when I'm running my train around the stage, on the stage, and then down off the stage to kind of group them up, and then around the stage, right? And you keep the alley door closed. Another problem is that that's already slow, but for the like visibility problem and the little tight like random corners that you get caught on because the little crawling zombies block your fucking way, you don't feel like completely safe unless you have the thunder gun, and then it's a completely other problem of the game just not even mattering at that point. But if you don't have the thunder gun, it's almost even worse because you have to just say, oh fuck, okay, well, I don't have any paths to go through this stage anymore, so I've just got to run up through the fucking lobby, through the start of the map, and do like a half map loop around through the MP40 in the dressing room, back to the stage, and it takes so fucking long, and the train is even slower, and so the rounds just feel fucking absolutely glacial, and that's the only solution to the other problems on Kino with the stage training. So I am not choosing to play Kino very often. The other problem is that the way you play Kino every time is this fucking same. You're not going through the alley, dude. You're just not. You're only going to the alley if the box spawns there. Or if you really want double tap, I guess. Like, otherwise, you're not going through the alley. Or unless you want to run the alley train. But it's just less consistent. So you're probably just not doing it unless you're going out of your way to make Kino more fun, which I think is that's a sign of a map that is failing in some ways, when you have to go out of your way to make it more fun. So I think Kino is really overrated. I think it is the perfect like introduction map. I'm gonna leave it right here just because I think Shi no Numa has less crippling flaws than Kino, even though ultimately it results in the same kind of like easy training. Oh fuck. Easy training situation. It just has the same kind of flaws. I'm gonna fucking answer this call. Jesus. Alright, fuck. Okay, fuck. That was kind of a snap to reality. It's been way too fucking long. I'm taking way too long on this shit. Where was I? I think I was saying Kino is fucking bad. I think that's what I was saying. So, I don't know. Realistically, it's probably here. But I kind of want to just be a dick and put it down here. Just because, honestly, those flaws make it, like, I would rather play Shi no Numa. Because I just don't think its flaws are that fundamentally harmful. I think the first 15 rounds on Shi no Numa are borderline more enjoyable than the first 15 rounds on Kino, and it doesn't suffer from quite as many problems, like, fundamentally. And what I hear, like, common discourse around this map is that, oh, it doesn't really have any flaws you can point to really say it's not, solid. And also everybody's nostalgic, so they want to fucking put it up here. I don't know, dude. Between the thunder gun and the training issues and the fucking crawler zombies, like, no, I think it does have pretty big flaws. So, also, you're always just starting up the map and going to the MP40, like, every time. So, yeah, I don't think it's very good, to be honest. I don't think it's aged very well. And honestly, Derice has all the same problems. If Derice didn't exist, Kino might be up here. But since Derice exists, I don't fucking want to play Kino. Simple as that. I think it also is worse because Derice exists. So Derice is just better Kino, and that makes Kino even worse than it would be, I think. Um okay, or well, no, 5. Okay. 5, when I was playing 5 as a child, first of all, it scared the fucking shit out of me because it was dark. I guess Kino did too, for that matter. Also, the fucking freak in the fucking lab coat that fucking steals your shit scared the fuck out of me. Um, and I hated this fucking map because I was bad at video games. Because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So I hated this fucking map. I just wanted to play Kino because Kino was comprehensible. I could get to round 9 or 10 consistently on Kino and then go on to fucking feed and multiplayer and go like whatever with a point 0.8 KD or some shit when I was like 10 years old. So 5 was just not appealing to me. But going back through these maps, I was extremely impressed. I was really pleasantly surprised with 5. And honestly, I want to put 5 in S tier. It could be top of A tier as well, but I'm just going to put it here for now. I think 5, it has some of its own problems, to be fair. I admit that. I do get why people don't really like the map, but I think it avoids pretty much every problem I have with Kino. First of all, Kino, it really benefits from having like a very easy to understand simplicity to it in general, not only in the map design, but also kind of the game flow. I think 5 also has that to its advantage. The first room, it's just a fucking room with a couple windows. It's got one way out. You buy the MPL probably. I personally buy the MPL. I don't fucking buy the M14. Uh, then you've got a hallway and a room, and you've got windows on all sides. You've got windows right next to the elevator, so you can't just kind of press your back against the wall. It forces you to kind of get into uncomfortable situations in these kind of tighter spaces than Kino for the most part. But the first couple rounds are pretty easy, honestly. You farm your points. Then by round 5 or 6 with the MPL, you're good. You could even leave earlier, but then you go to the second floor. You've got enough points to kind of open shit up there. Go down to the lab. You could even delay this a little bit and just kind of spend some time on the second floor. Maybe you use the MP5 instead. Like, it's got more versatility than Kino just going to the MP40. But then you go to the lab, you fucking turn on the power. Honestly, the first time Mr. fucking shit dick tries to steal your gun, it doesn't even matter. You can let him steal the MPL if you don't have enough firepower to kill him yet. It's fine. You can just go buy the MP5 instead or something, and you're not that far behind because of that. Like, yes, you want to get Jug. You probably have Jug by that point anyway, or you're about to get it, and having to buy an MP5 instead, or even just roll the box if you want to. It's not that big of a deal. But usually you can kill him anyway that first time and not lose your fucking gun, unless you actually just have no ammo or you have shit. But I don't think the Pentagon Thief is a negative. I think later in the game, he also is a I, he kind of becomes irrelevant actually, because you're just sitting on the second floor and he can only come in through that teleporter, and you probably got enough to just fucking sit him down immediately. So he kind of just becomes a non-factor at that point. But I think that's a flaw with 5, is its boss round kind of just I guess dogs are always irrelevant though, so maybe it's better than dogs. So Yeah, actually, I don't think that's a downside for 5. I think it's just not as good as it could be. But besides that, people say you can't train on 5. Bull fucking shit, dude. The War Room train, it's like it's a concentric circle. You can just go one direction around it the whole time. They can only come in down that stairwell, which you can see them a mile a fucking way coming down the stairwell. Or, it doesn't matter what's behind you in the circle because you're probably just, you don't even have to run. You can just walk and outspeed the zombies. So it doesn't matter what's behind you. You just look at what's in front of you around this fucking circle. You can see the zombies coming in. You know where they are. It's very rare. There are tiny little blind spots here and there, but they're not big fucking stupid blind spots like on Kino with the set piece things on the stage where basically you have to just fucking look forward the whole time and there's nothing to fucking look at. But on 5, you always know zombies are coming in ahead of you and where they are. You've got those little like rows of monitors or whatever they are, I don't know what they are. I can't remember. That kind of split the pretty narrow pathways into 2 little pathways, and you can just drag, aggro them, drag them over to one side, then move around the other side, split through those little gaps pretty easily. And it's actually, I find training on 5 easier than on Kino because of those reasons. You can see the whole time. The other reason is because on 5, on Kino, you only have like one really obvious place to turn around and shoot through the whole train. On 5, you've got like 3 or 4 through that little circle in that second floor. So I find training on 5 more fun too because it's more engaging. You have to react to more. And when you're reacting to it, it doesn't feel like fucking bullshit. You still have slow zombies, like on Kino, with until later rounds, but you still have some slow zombies sometimes, but they're at the same kind of level as other zombies, and they don't turn into fucking shitty gas, so they're less annoying. They force you to react a little bit differently. They force you to manage your train a little bit differently. But I just feel much more engaged when I'm training on 5. And 5 becomes intense as well around 25 to 30 and stays pretty intense around that time because of that. And also because you don't have the fucking stupid thunder gun to just bail you out. Because by that round, you probably have enough to have rolled for the thunder gun on any other map. But on 5, what are you rolling for? The Winter's fucking Howl, dude. If you roll the Winter's Howl after round 15, you're not fucking taking it. You're just not. Honestly, I kind of like it for that reason. I like that it's not just busted in an automatic pickup. But honestly, the other thing, the Winter's Howl is good until round 20 or something like that. It's actually good. In that little train, you can turn around, fire like 2 shots through the train, and you're good. It's actually kind of fun. But then it drops off. So 5 doesn't suffer nearly as much, I don't think, from those high round inevitabilities. The other thing, if you want to just pack a punch the MP5, then you can just buy the wall ammo in that room. Easy. The other thing is that pack-a-punch is not as automatic as on Kino and even Derice. Well, actually, especially Derice. There's no hoops after you get pack-a-punched unlocked on Derice to jump through. But on 5, you have to wait for the def cons to ramp up. And then maybe you even want to wait for a bonfire if it's early game, but you probably don't care about that. It really doesn't matter. That's the other thing about the Pentagon Thief, though. Early, you might let him take your gun because you want to hit the box a bunch, so you take a fire sale. Or you can just say fuck it and I don't care about that and I'll just kill him, and it doesn't matter if he takes my gun anyway because I can easily chase him down and kill him anyway after that. So the pack punch mechanics on 5 are a little bit more they force you to plan a little bit better as well. I like that. There is a little trap thing you can build on the first floor, but that's kind of a fucking trap in itself actually, because in my experience, trying to use that trap and train up there is a nightmare, and usually just gets me killed, but I'll usually just start trying to do that once I'm bored of training in the war room. So that's an easy, fun way to kind of still play the game, but effectively end it. I like that. That might sound weird, but I like that. You have other options, whereas your other option on Kino is like doing a lobby train or an alley train, which is yeah, it's harder, but there's not something like encouraging you to go there, like building the trap on 5, even though that's like a tiny thing. But besides that, I don't even use traps anyway, like on any map, because I don't go for high rounds. Once my guns aren't doing shit, I should not be playing the map anymore. But besides that, I think 5, I think its strongest points are that it's kind of claustrophobic and it forces you to react and gets you into kind of stressful situations. Down in the labs, you're kind of in a bad spot if you have to go down there for some reason. Uh, Actually, what I will say is I'm talking about all these maps from a solo perspective. So I don't think I mentioned that. I bet 5 gets really fucking annoying if you have to have multiple people on it. So that might be one thing. But from a solo perspective, I think 5 has a really good gameplay experience. Really good flow to the game. Um, yeah, I just really like 5. I really do. The teleporters kind of fucking suck. I just never use them. I just don't really see a reason to use them. Actually, when you're training down in the lab, it's not that bad though. Actually, because you've got that big pig room that's actually pretty wide open. It's only got one exit, but that's usually fine if you can just stay alive until your train is kind of complete. You can also just do it through the hallways, and usually the hallways are wide enough that you can squeak past other zombies, or you can just fucking blow them up or something. And then teleporters are just like a get me the fuck out of here, but also you don't know what kind of situation you're going to be in at the other side of it. So I think the fact the teleporters are random is good. Apparently in the remaster of this, like in Black Ops 4, I think, I don't know which one, they like show you where the teleporters would take you. I think that kind of ruins it. I think the fact that they're random is actually good because they should be a last resort. Um, and so there should be consequences to it, I think. Uh, one other criticism is like the center of the war room on this map. I think maybe shouldn't have had a teleporter. Maybe a teleporter should be like under the stairs or something. I think the fact that it's in the center kind of limits your use of the center of the war room. Like imagine if that center of the war room was open. You could do like even better trains. You could do more complex trains there. I think that would be good. Um, yeah, I like that pack a punch is locked down, and like forces you to basically open it up every time you want to use it over the course of a couple rounds. I mentioned that earlier, but I like that pack a punch is in a different area, kind of like Kino does it. Gives you a little bit of like, but on Kino it's more like, oh, I'm getting overwhelmed on the stage. Let me just take a free trip up here and throw some grenades. But on 5, it's like, okay, fuck, I'm in pack a punch. I can actually breathe for a second. On Kino, you don't really get that feeling because overall it's pretty open and you're pretty much fucking bored and your mind is fucking numb from how boring the map is. But on 5, you're pretty nervous the whole time or stressed out unless you've got set up and you've got a really solid train through the war room. But I think the progression is good on this map. This map benefits from double tap more than other maps because you should be relying on ballistic weapons on this map. You're not just getting the thunder gun. Even if you get the ray gun, double tap is still putting in work because you probably also have like a Galil or something. I think this map benefits from mule kick as well. I usually take mule kick over quick revive on this map. Usually on other maps, I'll just buy quick revive once I get my other perks and a gun or two, just because, right? There's no reason not to. I don't really find mule kick that valuable on a lot of maps, but on something like 5 where you don't have the thunder gun, having mule kick can make it pretty fun. You can afford to like fit a crossbow in and pack a punch crossbow or something. It can help you on this map. And quick revive in general, I don't think I've mentioned it yet. Quick revive has a problem where, like, if I'm playing solo and I'm using quick revive, in what case am I really gonna keep playing the map? I do sometimes, but it's actually pretty rare. Like if I have quick revive and I go down and I've managed to get all my perks and now I'm starting my train and I go down because of some stupid mistake I made, you know, if I have enough points to go get all my perks back, I'll probably keep playing. But if I don't, I'll probably just stop. Otherwise, especially on something like Kino, if I go down with Quick Revive, like, do I really care to keep going? I probably don't. And that's once you're established. Even, and especially early game, if I go down before round 10 or something like that, you know, am I really continuing to play? Because your point economy actually matters at that point. Now I've wasted $1,000 on Quick Revive over the two uses or the two buys. Uh, I I'm probably just annoyed and I want to play a different map at that point because I fucked up. So like Quick Revive, I usually just don't even buy Quick Revive. Uh, I forget why I brought that. Oh yeah, because Mule Kick on 5 is actually more valuable than I think on other maps. And so is Double Tap. So it makes the perks more valuable, I think, too. Also, speed is more valuable on this map, too, because you will have situations, kind of like on Verruct, speed is actually useful on Verruct, where you have to just start shooting something in front of you, and if you have to reload, you're fucked. But on something like Darice or Kino, speed doesn't matter as much because you can just train. Same with Shino Numa. So I think 5 is a much better map than Kino when it comes to design and game flow. But I get why people don't like it. It's not the most relaxing, like easy automatic game of zombies. I get that. So, but honestly, like if I'm picking a Black Ops map to play, I'm probably picking 5 over pretty much almost everything else. Not to spoil anything. Okay, I think that's about it with 5. Ascension. Ascension is if okay. If Darice is Kino plus, no. How do I phrase this? I don't know. I think Ascension is just like actually Kino plus, and Darice is Kino plus plus. I guess that's how I'd describe it. Ascension is just a nice vanilla map. Vanilla map, easy to play. I honestly don't have much to say about it. It's pretty inoffensive. The biggest problem is, and honestly, this is, I don't know, it's kind of a problem and it's kind of not a problem when compared to Kino. The lander platform that's literally just a big fucking square. You got a big little square, you can train in the square. It makes it like it makes round 30 plus automatic on this map, especially if you get the thunder gun, because the big fucking square, big empty square. I don't know how the fuck they thought having a big empty square in the map was going to be a good idea, but even besides the big empty square, you've got like 3 other just easy viable training spots. So vanilla map, just like Darice, just like Kino, but it suffers from the zombies formula again, in that it's easy enough that getting to high rounds turns you into a fucking zombie yourself. You turn into a fucking brainless retard. And besides that, getting to the point where you turn on the power is probably, maybe it's a slight bit more investment than on Darice or Kino. It might be just about the same actually. I don't play much Ascension. I really haven't played it too much just because it feels like these other two maps so much. But getting to the power is easy. Same problem as with Kino. And honestly, Darice, if you want to train in the Thompson room, you're incentivized to keep a certain door closed, which makes the map just much more linear and less variable. So you keep the door above Jug closed, just like you keep the alley door by the stage closed, just like you keep the stairs by the Thompson closed. And the reason you do that on this map is different. On these maps, it's to give you training areas. On Ascension, you've got the big fucking squale, so it doesn't matter. But the monkeys are why you do that. It makes it basically impossible to lose Jug to the monkeys, which, especially, if you're playing solo and you're actually using Quick Revive, you literally just, first of all, you're training in the square. Monkeys come, you take the lander back to spawn, sit next to Quick Revive, nothing can touch your Jug or your Quick Revive. If you don't have any other perks, you get a free perk. If you do have other perks, you probably have enough points just from training in the big square endlessly that you can just go rebuy them. Okay, makes the game pretty fucking easy. It's also since it's such an open and easy map to train on, no matter where you are, it's also really easy just to justify keeping your 1911 and getting Mustang and Sally and PhD Flopper. So PhD Flopper, I have mixed feelings on in general, but on some maps, I think it's good. On some maps, I think it hurts it. On Ascension, I think it kind of hurts the map because now, guess what? You've probably got the Thunder Gun. Guess what else you have? Probably Mustang and Sally and PhD. What the fuck is going to happen to you? How are you going to fucking die? Ever. It's, I don't know. I don't love Ascension. The monkeys become irrelevant after the first time they show up. Even the first time they show up, they're pretty much irrelevant. If you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, I guess that can be pretty fun. Ascension is probably one of those maps that is fun multiplayer. But again, this is a solo kind of perspective on these maps. I bet Ascension is much more fun multiplayer because the training areas are big enough to maybe have multiple people in that area. Maybe it'll make the training more fun because your other person fucks with your train. It's also big enough that you can all have your own training area if you want. It also makes you use teamwork to guard your perks. Like, I can see why people have fun on this map. Also, I think this is the first Easter egg, like proper Easter egg. I don't know actually, but I guess people like that too. So I see why people like this map. It's pretty casual, like friendly game of zombies, but to be honest, it just doesn't really do it for me. I'll probably play it over Kino though, just because it's got a little bit more going on. I actually really like the Pack-a-Punch Room train on this map. It's actually kind of fun because it kind of things get split across that little. There's like four little legs that the little platform is on, or whatever the fuck is going on there. And your train gets split across those sometimes, and you got to react, and you can fall into the Pack-a-Punch Room and kind of blow your way through the wave there. But if you have the Thunder Gun, none of this matters anyway. So Ascension suffers from the Thunder Gun problem, just like the other maps that have it. But overall, it's okay. It's decent. I honestly don't have a lot to say about it besides that. I think the landers are cool. I think the spawn room little spinning thing is kind of cool, but again, that makes the map even easier. It's a trap you don't even have to pay for. Like, what the fuck are we doing? So, um, I also don't like that. I think it's static. I think the box is always right next to power. I'd rather the box randomly spawn in just to force you down different paths of the map. But Ascension plays pretty linearly, like extremely linearly. Same with Kino and honestly Doris as well. So, yeah. Again, like between these three, that's kind of a trilogy of just easy to approach traditional zombies maps, which it's kind of hard to hate on them, but at the same time, they don't really do a ton for me. But what I will say is, again, like all zombies maps are generally good. I'm just kind of ranking them relative to each other. So I still really like Kino. I just think it has a lot of these problems, and I'd rather play other maps. So the only thing is Dead Op should be like fucking triple F tier or something. That's just not fun. I personally like twin stick shooters, and Dead Ops is just not very good. Okay. Uh, Call of the Dead. Call of the Dead. I don't really know where to put Call of the Dead. I what I don't understand is people who say Call of the Dead is one of the best maps of all time. Even one of the best maps in Black Ops 1. I don't really understand that. I think it's got some pretty serious problems. But I also don't think it's very I don't think it's bad. So I'd rather play it than Ascension. I'd probably put it middle of the road here. Um, I don't think it's bad necessarily, but from what I can tell, I think most people have one or two big problems with Call of the Dead between George, between the fog, maybe actually, and then the Juggernaut location. And I think those are all three kind of problems, but I also think those are all benefits to the map. I think they've each got pros and cons. And I think the biggest con to each of them is the overall big flaw of the map, which is just the general layout. Call of the Dead is really spread out in a weird way. It's not all flat necessarily, but it's just really spread out. And it's got like shortcuts. It's the first time zombies tried to really do shortcuts, I think. Besides like maybe the teleporters in 5 and the teleporters on these other maps, but it tried to do like more traditional shortcuts. And I don't think it did them very well. And I think the map really needed some solid shortcuts to be very fun. But we'll go through those couple things. George, I actually like George. I think where George fails is the map design's fault. It's not George's fault. I think George is a good idea. I think he's actually implemented decently well himself. I think he just suffers from the map layout. I think if George was on a different map, he'd be more fun. Like maybe a map like Ascension, where it is more flat, and where he will interrupt your training spots, but there are other viable training spots to go to, and he doesn't force you down like one specific loop. The problem with Call of the Dead is George will block you in to like one specific loop. Like if you're on the boat, or on a certain section of the boat at least, you have to go all the way through that specific loop back to the spawn area. Or if you're in the lighthouse, you have to go back the other way or back through the ice slide through a specific loop back to the spawn-ish area or in front of the lighthouse at least. And so Call of the Dead is like basically 2 or 3 loops, which a lot of maps are like that. But George, and the way they're laid out, George like forces you down them. And unlike something like Verrucht, where you can run through the whole map in like 40 seconds, Call of the Dead probably takes you like 2+ minutes, probably like 3 minutes to run through the whole map. And it's not even that huge, I don't think. I bet Ascension is probably even a little bit bigger, but it's just the way it's laid out is weird. And you've got that little area behind the lighthouse with the box location and with stamina up, I think is back there. What the fuck is that area for? Why is that area in the map? The answer is it's a dead end for the map to place a box or pack-a-punch and force you to get trapped in by George and deal with that area back there, especially with the water. Okay, Shino Numa has the water problem a little bit, which makes you not want to use those parts of the map. But Call of the Dead kind of forces you to those parts of the map, which might be a good thing. But ultimately, again, it might be a good thing, but the map layout itself kind of makes it tedious and unfun. Like if it forced you into the water by spawn, that's one thing because you've got like 2 exits from the water, and you've even got a little island out there. But just the little like path of water that's randomly some places, even the boat, like the little pool of water in the boat that's got like a staircase in and a staircase out. I think that's a decent water pool too. I like the mechanic of having to bring George to a specific area of the map to cool him off if you piss him off. Again, I think George himself was implemented pretty well, but the map layout itself just sucks. And that's the other thing I mentioned. Pack-a-Punch just randomly fucking moves on this map. Yeah, it doesn't have like a 10-step procedure of fucking bullshit to get through. I think 5 hit the sweet spot with Pack-a-Punch where it's very straightforward. You literally just press a button 5 times, or 4 times even, I think, and then Pack-a-Punch is open. Something like... Well, I don't know. I guess Black Ops 1 maps are good about it, but something like Black Ops 2 maps, like Transit, obviously, or like other maps on that, where the system to open Pack-a-Punch is fucking bullshit. That's not fun. But Call of the Dead, Pack-a-Punch, there's no requirements except that it's just random, and you have to wait for it, and then it forces you to a certain section of the map that really has nothing going on for it except to force you over there to go get Pack-a-Punch and force you into other weird pathing interactions with George. It just feels kind of arbitrary. I don't like it. So yeah, the map layout itself hurts this map. So the shortcuts, the problem I was going to mention, the problem with the shortcuts is not that they're... It's that you are rarely using one of these shortcuts to get somewhere. You're usually just using them to get away from somewhere. Which other maps have a problem with too. But and I'll talk about Shangri-La, but the shortcuts just don't feel very valuable on Call of the Dead. Like the zip lines and the little flipper thing on the boat, they just they feel kind of tacked on. They feel like they're not actually that well thought out or valuable. Um, the one on top of the lighthouse is especially kind of weird, I think, because it takes you to a far corner of the map by jug, but it's also super inconvenient to get to that shortcut. The only reason you take that shortcut is because you're forced into it. So, like, yeah, I don't think the map layout is very good. The shortcuts kind of hurt the map, I think, rather than help it. And this is a map that desperately needed good shortcuts. Uh, Another thing is, and I just so jug, the jug location, and honestly turning on the power as well. Turning on the power isn't that crazy. It's probably a similar amount of investment as these other kind of maps I've mentioned, but getting to jug is more of an investment than on most maps. And on one hand, I think that's good. I think that's a good thing. Again, zombies, the formula has a problem where jug is the only perk you really need, and every map turns into rushing to jug. So putting jug behind like kind of an inconvenient map layout and more like doors, I think is a good thing. Um, I think getting to jug finally, I think it makes the first, well, not the first couple rounds, but round 3 through I don't know 7. I think it makes those rounds more tense than usual, which is good for a map. I think I like that kind of point in the game. Like I said, round 4 through 20ish is probably my favorite point of zombies. So it makes those first couple rounds in that sweet spot a little bit less easy. It makes it a little more stressful. It gives you a little bit more like, whew, once you get it. So I think that's good. Um, but I think Call of the Dead has an even worse. It makes quick revive the problem I brought up with quick revive earlier, where you don't want to bother playing the map anymore if you go down anyway, even with quick revive. That is even worse on Call of the Dead. On Call of the Dead, you do not want to go get jug again after you go down on round 15. You just do not want to do it, especially if you don't have points for other things you're trying to get through, with other doors on the map being really fucking annoying, or trying to save up for when Pack Punch will randomly fucking show up, or if you're trying to roll for the scavenger or something in the box. So, Call of the Dead, Quick Revive suffers even more on this map because of the location of Jug. I think that's the big problem with the Jug location, not that it's hard to get to in the first place. Besides that, this map also has the problem of you wanting to keep certain doors closed, like in front of the lighthouse, for example, because that retains your one and only really decent training area. I think that's just a general problem that Zombies has a lot of the time. It kind of makes your play linear, because on Call of the Dead, your play is usually really linear. You get Jug, and then you maybe get another perk, but you probably just start rolling the box for the scavenger, to be honest. Um, and then you train in front of the lighthouse, and you want to keep those other doors closed. Um, and the game tries to force you out of that linearity by putting Pack a Punch in weird locations and putting some perk machines in weird locations, but it just doesn't feel quite right. It doesn't feel very meaningful. It feels kind of arbitrary. So that's another map layout problem. Another thing is the fog. The fog also kind of hurts the map layout, just because you can't see the zombies, however far in front of you. But honestly, I don't mind the fog. Kind of mixes up the aesthetic. Although it is kind of a weird choice to keep bringing the fog back. And when the fog is not there, the map looks really nice. But when the fog is there, you can't see shit. I feel like the fog should have been there permanently until you got the power on, and then the lighthouse should remove the fog. And then that makes the first couple rounds a little bit tense because the fog's there no matter what. And then you get the power on. Now those next couple rounds are tense anyway because you're trying to get the jug, but you also feel some kind of progress now the fog is gone. I think that would have made the linear flow that ends up happening on this map better. But yeah, the fog is fine. Another thing about this map is, so let's talk more about George. Again, I think George is good. I like that he gives you perks. I like that he gives you a goal to shoot for in the zombies game. I like that Call of the Dead does not incentivize high rounds. I like that it scales the scavenger out of one shots around whatever, 35 or 40, I think. I like that it doesn't have traps. I like that the training area is also not super super easy. It's pretty easy, but it's not super easy, and you have to go other places because Pack Punch and the box moves, and because George will interrupt your train. You at least have to dip into the water, so it forces variability there. Um, so I like George for those reasons. I like that it gives you kind of a goal outside of just get to high rounds. It kind of takes that goal away from you and gives you George instead, which I think is good. I think George also forces like some interesting pathing interactions too. I think that's good. I like the feeling of turning around and being like, oh fuck, George is there, having to circle and readjust my train and then move out and sneak past him. I like that he doesn't just fucking insta gib you or something. I like that he does normal damage. I like that he gets pissed if you accidentally shoot him. It makes you have to be more careful. I like that you have to take him to a certain part of the map to you know, cool him off once you piss him off. I like that. Um, Again, I just think the map layout hurts George. And so people who really complain about George on this map, I think are actually complaining about the map layout. Uh, but I think the last big thing about this map is that the the wonder weapons are just like, I don't know. The scavenger is really cool. I do like the scavenger actually, but it doesn't play super fun. It's not the most fun wonder weapon. Uh, it's fun. It's all right, but it's not amazing. In the VR11, especially because I'm playing solo, the VR11 is just fucking useless. Like fuck that thing. That thing is so dumb. I know there's an Easter egg on this map too. I've never done it, but the fact that it needs the VR11, or at least I'm pretty sure it does, I kind of just don't even want to fucking bother. Also, I just don't care about Easter eggs. Yeah, I think that's about it with Call of the Dead. I think it's very overrated. I think it's a very overrated map. I don't know why people give it so much slack on the map layout. I think the map layout is pretty objectively bad. I think it's way too spread out for what it wants to do with George. Uh, well, that's not. It's a weird mix of being really spread out and having some open spaces and some really stupidly tight spaces and also dead ends. And I just don't think they mesh well. And I think the interconnectedness of the map with the shortcuts is really lacking as well. And it just creates this really tedious experience where you have to move through the map in certain loops because of things you can't control, like George and Pack-a-Punch and stuff. So I think on a map like Ascension, where there's more flexibility, or even a map that is, something that does a similar thing, is like the napalm zombies on Shangri-La. And I think those do the same thing better than, well, I don't know. It's a similar thing. It has its own problems, but I think on a map like Shangri-La, where everything is already claustrophobic, but there's a lot of paths in and out of certain areas and the shortcuts are really interconnected, something like George, maybe not as extreme as George, would be maybe more effective on a map like that, as long as there are enough routes at any given point in the map to go. I don't know. I feel like anybody, for the fucking three of you that ever listen to this, I feel like you're probably thinking George on Shangri-La is the most disgusting, fucking heretical thing you've ever heard. That sounds horrible, but I think that sounds kind of fun. The napalm zombies already kind of do that. Um, Besides that, uh, I don't really, I don't give a fuck about George Romero as a icon. I just don't. I don't really care about movies. I don't care about playing as fucking Daphne or the fucking Mexican guy from fucking Spy Kids. Uh, I don't care. I like Richtofen and fucking Dempsey more than any of those fucking people. I just find it's kind of gimmicky. I don't really care about that. But overall, I think Call of the Dead has pros but it also has a lot of cons that people usually don't acknowledge. And people misidentify the problems with this map as George or the Jug location or something like that. But it's really just the map design in general. I think it's just pretty weak. So I don't know. To be honest, maybe it's even below Ascension. I don't know. It could be either place here. I'm gonna keep it above Ascension just because it's trying to do more stuff. I think I respect George. I respect that idea. Okay. Okay. Um, Shangri-La. Where to fucking begin with Shangri-La? I think that Shangri-La is pretty I think it's the best zombies map of all time. And that's not a joke. I think it is the best zombies map ever made, honestly. I think it's severely overhated, underrated. I think it's aged fucking beautifully. Uh it was so refreshing after playing Ascension and Call of the Dead to get to Shangri-La, and I'll talk about why. First of all, seeing 5 and Shangri-La on the S tier is probably making some of you like distrust me, but and think I'm fucking trolling or something. But I think I'm being pretty thorough. I think I'm making my arguments pretty clear here. Shangri-La has the best game flow state in zombies on any map. Period. It's Verruct plus. It's got Pack a Punch too, so it's just Verruct plus in every way. It's I feel like I need to organize my thoughts a little bit on Shangri-La. So let's compare it to Call of the Dead first of all. The whole map is tight. The whole map is tight and confined like the boat is in certain places and the lighthouse is in certain places. But those areas aren't like weirdly disconnected from other loops and big open areas in the map that make it so that once you're established, you're never going back to them. Shangri-La forces you to play with the whole map. And I think most zombies maps, frankly, all other zombies maps fail in that regard. The worst part of Shangri-La, actually, there are two worst parts of Shangri-La. One is the fucking little spike traps that I always fucking forget about, and I just stop moving in that little fucking hallway out of spawn, and I just get trapped and lose my fucking game. I've probably died to that more than anything else on Shangri-La. Fuck those fucking spike traps. Besides that, though, the actual worst part of Shangri-La is the mudroom. The random fucking paths in the mudroom just suck. And it wouldn't be as big of a problem if the map wasn't so good at forcing you to use the whole map. But you can usually avoid the mudroom for the most part. The only time it really becomes a problem is when Jug is over there. That's kind of annoying. I prefer Jug to be on the other side by the minecart. That makes the map easier. But I like that Jug can be random. Like I said earlier, I forget which map. What was it? Shinonuma, I'm sure. I think Shangri-La does the random perks. The random perk locations better. Down in the caverns and stuff, it doesn't really matter where they're at, generally. But the Jug and Speed random location, I think, is really well done because you want to go towards the minecart side of the map because that little loop at the bottom of that area of the map is a really nice, convenient place. Well, comparatively, it's a pretty nightmarish place to train compared to other maps completely, but it's probably the best place you're going to get in Shangri-La to train early game. Maybe later game you like the AK-74 room down in the caverns a little bit more, but I think that area has its own kind of problems with training. But the little loop down there by the random perk location and by the entrance down to the caverns is a really nice area early on. So if you can get Jug right by the MPL there, I just use the MPL in that area for a couple rounds till I get Jug, then I'm good. Then I go down, I try to get Flopper, and then I try to get Mustang and Sally. That's a really good opener on this map, opening strategy. But if Jug is on the other side, then you kind of get fucked. You get set behind another couple points, another round probably. You have to deal with the mud room a little bit. So it just introduces some variability on this already pretty tight anti-player map, and I just like that it's actually trying to do something different and give you a challenge with that. I like that it doesn't make the first rounds of the map always exactly the same. But overall, I think looking at these next to each other, 5 and Shangri-La, you can see that I prefer, and Verrucht, you can see that I definitely prefer the more fucking claustrophobic, schizophrenic games of zombies where you're constantly reacting to shit and shit is getting thrown in your way and you're put in a bunch of like really stressful situations all the time. And usually on these maps, whenever I die, I feel like I've been engaged the whole time. I've been paying attention. Everything I've been doing to survive this long has been my actual play, has been my point management, has been my training, has been my pathing, my juking. I've been uh, you know, actually playing well to get to this point in the game. And so now that I died, it's my fuck up. It's not me being bored out of my fucking mind and not seeing 2 fucking zombies that are slithering across the floor around the corner of this big fucking blocky wooden stage thing. Okay. Shangri-La has even more tight spaces that you can't see around, but it always feels fair because it doesn't lull you into a fucking slumber first. Anyway, another thing, compared to Call of the Dead, Shangri-La is much, much, much smaller. It's much more confined. But it's also got, I think, yeah, it's got more shortcuts, and it's got higher quality shortcuts. Shangri-La, you're incentivized to use the whole map. And especially, it's the same thing as like Verrucht. You want to run a little bit of a train at the start, but once you start getting overwhelmed, you need to cut your way out of that train and start doing kind of like a half map train, maybe even a full map train, but probably not because you want to avoid the mudroom. And so it tests your ability to train in those tight spaces, but also when to adjust and kind of go for a half map train instead. It makes you utilize the whole map. Usually, I find myself using the minecart, using the water slide, using every geyser on this map pretty much every time I play, and not out of a plan. I usually have to improvise and use those shortcuts, and it feels good because sometimes I want to get down to the water pool while leaving my crawler up by the little loop train I was running. So the minecart does that, and it gives me a bunch of time to just roll the box if it's down there or something. Or it gives me a shortcut to the little pack-a-punch pressure plate on that side of the map without having to deal with the mudroom twice. Right? The geysers are fucking awesome. They let you just back right up to the spawn room. The spawn room is a really good area in Shang as like a central kind of like regroup my train and then restart my map loop. If I really get fucked here, I can jump down to the cavern and kind of really reset things and run down to my other side of the map where I feel comfortable gathering things up. I just think the whole map is really well utilized in Shang. I think it results in the best flow of any zombies map, and a really intense, like stressful game. And it also has the same benefit of Verrucht in that yes, you can get to around 25-30 and stabilize and have a really consistent train, but it has a couple other factors that kind of throw wrenches in that. And most games of Shangri-La I find end around that round 25-ish mark, and I feel satisfied at that point. And to play any further would kind of ruin, like it wouldn't be it wouldn't be why I'm playing Shang, right? I'm playing Shangri-La for that like 5 to 20, 5 to 25, those rounds of just intense pathing, actually feeling like I'm making progress when I'm buying my perks. I think it benefits from having a low odds wonder weapon in the box as well. Motherfucker, dude. Fucking phone. Okay, Jesus Christ. That probably took like that took way too long. I don't even remember what I was saying. And now I'm realizing that this is an hour and a fucking half already. Holy shit. I didn't think I'd talk for that fucking long. Not that I have anything else to, well, actually no. I wasn't done with Shang. I was gonna say I don't have much to say about Moon, but we'll get there in a second. Shangri-La, what was I saying? I was probably saying it's the best fucking map of all time. Oh yeah. You use the whole map. That's what I was talking about. I don't think I talked about much else though. Um, what I will say is that multiplayer, this shit probably sucks because you can never pack a punch, but I like that uh pack a punch um is simple, but it also requires a little bit from you. It's not like, oh, just go to this area of the map again and you can pack a punch. You have to use one of those pressure plates. And the fact that you're so encouraged to go through the entire map when you're training means that you've probably discovered where the pressure plate is that you need to step on if you're solo, just by going through the map, because you definitely have to go check the one by power. The one that you might not check just naturally is the one by the bridge, but if you don't see the other ones, then you know that's the one that you got to go to. So it's really easy to know where you need to go for back punch and not have to hunt for it, which I really like because you're so incentivized to go through the whole map while you're training. Yet again, it's just the map utilization is fucking awesome. Oh, that's probably what I was talking about, is the shortcuts. Yeah, the shortcuts on Call of the Dead suck. Shangri-La has quality shortcuts. Not only are they panic, get me out of here shortcuts, some are better than others. The slide and the minecart are really good at that. The geysers, you have to be more careful about using them because you can also get fucking chinsed when you're going up the geyser. So you got to be kind of careful with those. But I like that too, that they're not just free, you know, escapes, right? You have to think about using those a little bit more. You gotta train the guys a little bit farther away, or at least have enough firepower to hold them off while you're going up the geyser, while it's taking the time to charge up and shoot you up or whatever. So the geysers are awesome. The minecart and the slide are awesome. It's a much better slide than the ice slide on Call of the Dead. The ice slide on Call of the Dead is just it's not even really a shortcut. It's just the end of a loop, and there's no, like, you're just using it because you have to go through that loop of the map. Um, but on Shang, it's a shortcut. It's an escape tool. Uh, yeah. I don't know if I talked about the baby gun yet, but the baby gun is super fucking fun. I like that it's a low odds out of the box, but it's also just fun. It's a fun to use wonder weapon, and it's also really good. But it's like if the thunder gun was balanced, because uh, actually I don't know. I want to say it has similar ammo, probably a little bit more than the thunder gun. Maybe not. Yeah, I think it probably does. But it does the same thing functionally that the thunder gun does, in that if you're running forward and you get trapped, you can just shoot it and you just get out of jail free. But you have to actually follow through and either kick them, shoot your Mustang and Sally at the ground, throw a Semtex, whatever you got to do to actually kill the little baby zombies. Uh, and then also you can turn around and shoot the train with it and kill the train, but you have to either run back into them or deal some kind of damage in another way. And even after you shoot it, you can still take damage. So, like, if you get smacked by one or two normal zombies and then you shoot it and like a crowd of 5 or 6 zombies hit you, you can still go down. I don't know how much damage they do. I think it's probably only happened to me like once, but it's not as automatic as the thunder gun. It's like a balanced thunder gun, and it's more fun to use than the thunder gun because you get to kick them, which is just cool. I think Shang also benefits from Mule Kick for a couple reasons, because you probably want the Mustang and Sally on this map, or maybe just the ray gun if you already got rid of your 1911. You definitely want the baby gun, although you might not get it. So if you don't get it, you don't really need Mule Kick. But either way, but then you want Mule Kick, or if you're playing the map well, you'll probably end up getting Mule Kick because of. And this is probably the one thing that Shangri-La does that no other zombies map really does. People bitch about all the special enemy types on Shangri-La, but they're actually okay. So on 5, the Pentagon Thief provides you some utility sometimes, but other times he's just like a filler round. Um, Doris has dogs that spawn in with the rest of the zombies, which is good. That's a good variable to the game. Varuk doesn't have anything. Call of the Dead has George, good variable. Ascension has the monkeys that completely don't matter fucking at all. Shinonuma, normal dog rounds, it's fine, it's bog standard. Kino has the dog rounds, but it also has the little crawlers that are really like, I guess they add variety, but they don't actually do anything for you really. Uh, like they're just kind of an annoyance. But on Shang, you've got the monkeys. If you're doing your train in whatever area, the little loop or down in the caverns or whatever you're doing, and you get a drop, guess what? The map is designed so that you can pull your train up to a different section of the map, for example, up by the minecart, and then wait for a monkey to come catch your drop, organize your train, follow the monkey. You can do it at walking speed. If you get a max ammo drop and you're farming for the perks, that is easy to do, especially in that area, because you get enough time to see one full cycle to see where the perk is in that drop cycle, and then time it and get it. That's another reason Mustang Sally is good, is because it's a really easy way to get the monkey. Uh, one thing that really frustrates about me about this map is if I get an early max ammo drop and I only have like the MPL or something, I swear to God, I always just miss the fucking monkey and miss the perk, and that really pisses me off. But it's my fault, right? It's not the game being bullshit. But the monkeys are a way to not only farm perks, but also just decide when you need a max ammo and when you might actually want a different drop, like a insta kill or something like that, or at double points especially. And being able to just choose a double points early in the game to get quick jug, open the power quickly, dude. The monkeys on Shangri-La are the best use of monkeys. Well, I guess it's the only other use of monkeys now that I think about it. I was gonna say in Black Ops 2, I guess they're not monkeys, the things on transit, but they're way better use of monkeys than Ascension because they can also fuck you over. Especially like when I first tried to play Shangri-La, I was trying to train in the spawn room, and I was getting so frustrated because first of all, it's not a consistent training spot. I was trying to play Shangri-La like any other map where you just train in one given spot, and I thought spawn is probably the most open, like rectangle-ish looking area that you can get. You know, you will get stuck, you will get cornered because they come from every angle there, and then if you get a drop, you just have to take the drop because the monkey will just come and steal it instantly, and you don't have enough room to wait for the max ammo to appear in the little cycling. So it really encourages you to not just use spawn, to not just sit in one area of the map. Even when you're in a different area of the map, the monkeys encourage you to move to a different area of the map so you can still keep your train, but also chase the monkey and get your whatever drop you want, or even a perk, which is fucking badass. That's why you usually end up getting mule kick on this map if you're playing well. Um, Besides that, though, there's the napalm zombie, which I talked about it as like a George Light. I think they learned from George that a slow moving kind of enemy that kind of follows you. And also, I think the napalm zombie ignores rounds. So, like, you could even keep it to the next round and then blow it up so you can use the fire that it generates as some kind of trap. But that's what I was going to say. The napalm zombie, it works like a George Light in that it moves slowly. It's not there all the time, but once you get up in the rounds a bit, it's there every other round or something. So it's pretty common. But it will spawn in your train. It'll spawn on top of your training area, and it'll force you to move. It'll force you to go to a different area. Normally that'd be kind of annoying, but since Shang is so well like interconnected, it's pretty easy to just move to another area or start doing a half map loop. When you come to that spot again, just run up to the napalm zombie and run away, and it blows up, and you got a fire trap if you want to save ammo. It's a really interesting way to disrupt the player without punishing them too hard, to punish players who aren't paying attention, to reward players who are careful about their spatial awareness, and if they want to use the napalm zombie as some kind of tool to kill the zombies. It's really a great enemy design, I think. I think people get really pissed off about it. To be honest, the first time I ran into one, it just blew me up and one-shot me, and I was like, what the fuck? What am I even supposed to do about that? One, because I was in spawn and I was in too tight of an area to deal with it, and I wasn't willing to move other places on the map, so I was just trying to kill it as fast as possible. but you don't even need to shoot those things. So they're a really solid enemy type. Um, and then the screamer or whatever it's called, that one, it doesn't add a ton, but it's a nice variable. It's like a sprinter from Verruct. It runs up on you, but it doesn't damage you. It just blinds you. I think it's a more consequential blind than the Kino crawlers, because the Kino crawlers, yeah, you can prevent it, but they just leave like this little area of effect blind. But if you just kill the Shrieker before it like fucks with you, or if you deal with it quickly enough, then the blind won't really fuck with you too hard. But if you're not aware that it's coming up behind you or something, and then it starts screaming at you, and then you try to run and you get caught against it in the geometry or something in these tight spaces, it can really fuck you up. But also, you have plenty of warning that it is showing up. And they're pretty low health. They're pretty easy to kill too. So the Shrieker doesn't do a ton, but it does give you even more variety. And I think when you kill it, it stuns things next to it too. So it's hard to go out of your way to use that as some kind of utility, but it also just gives you some breathing room if you're still blind or something like that. It doesn't punish you too hard. So I really like the enemy variety on Shang. I think that's maybe its strongest attribute besides the map layout. I think they work hand in hand very well together as well, because between the shortcuts, between the tight spaces, and also I think it's also beneficial to not have a traditional boss round like with dogs or whatever, because that usually interrupts the flow of the game a lot and just gives you a free max ammo. In Shangri-La, you've got to be smart, and you can fuck up your max ammos and get yourself in a really bad situation. Uh, you can also, well, yeah, I guess that's not true, but you can definitely fuck up your max ammos on Shang, and I like that level of agency. Ultimately, Shangri-La holds you like responsible for everything that happens in the game. Basically, none of it actually feels like bullshit, except for the little fucking spike traps that I always forget about, but that is also my fault. Um, the and that's why I say the mudroom is the worst part of this map, because that's the one piece of this map that doesn't doesn't rely on your input, right? Like it's just random whether the mud maze works for you or not and takes you where you want to go. It's really annoying. But it does make you choose, like, is it better for me to slow down here and just get across this, which usually it is. So I like that element of choice, I guess. Even the mudroom is not the worst thing in the world, but I think the random path through it is not I don't know. I don't like that. I think that's its biggest flaw as a map. Um, but even the random perk spawns, like, yes, that's out of your control, but it's not so punishing. It just puts you behind a little bit. You can usually get your way back into the game through a double points farm anyway. So it just adds some variability, and the map doesn't. It's just not friendly to you. It will work against you, and I like that, right? Because same thing as Verruct, it benefits from not going way too long a lot of the time. I probably mentioned that earlier. But yeah, Shang, I think it's the best map ever designed, straight up. I don't know if I mentioned, when I played through all these maps, then I played through Ascension and Call of the Dead, and I was feeling pretty like midded out. I was like, these are okay. These are really not very fun. Um, they're okay. And I was expecting Shangri-La to be a total low point, because everybody says it's the worst fucking map ever. It sucks. It's way too hard for no reason. It's way too punishing. It's not fair. But I had the exact opposite experience. I went in, first time I played it, I got to around like 20 something, 23 or 24 or something like that. I had gotten my Pack-a-Punch done. I had gotten PhD Flopper with Mustang and Sally. I didn't get the baby gun, I don't think. But I ultimately died because I was trying to train in spawn room. And then I got a little bit frustrated because I played a couple more times with the same strategy and didn't really get as lucky, didn't really make it as far. But once I actually understood what this map is trying to make you do with its whole map layout, it just totally clicked. Just totally clicked for me. It's super fun. It's the most fun I've had on a zombies map, to be honest, because it's so hectic. It's all in your control. Uh, and everything just plays off of each other. Like the map layout just plays off of the enemy types, plays off of the shortcuts, plays off of the wonder weapon, plays off of the pack punch system. It all just plays well together, except for the mud maze. That is the only thing that I really don't like. And also, like at the bottom of the waterfall, it's or at the bottom, like where the minecart spits you out. I don't like. I don't usually like the areas that slow your movement like that. It's just kind of annoying, but that's also kind of a small thing. I also just like. There's something to be said about the aesthetics of this map. I feel like I got pretty tired of, and Call of the Dead kind of is a little bit fresh as well, but it also just feels like a generic fucking snowy thing, right? Shangri-La, it's got a unique identity. It's daytime again. Daytime zombies is like kind of almost creepier because it's like uh it's like you're not, even though it's daytime, even though it's bright out, you're not safe, right? It's also super claustrophobic. There are also like there's foliage everywhere that kind of obscures the zombies, and then they'll walk out of it, and you'll realize there's like two there. It's just got tight corners, tight corridors. The kind of temple aesthetic is cool. I don't typically love like jungle stuff usually, but it really does it for me. It's pretty fucking badass. It's unique. Like, Five and Kino and Doris and Verruct and all these things that are just like facilities and Ascension. They're all just like facilities. Shino Numa and Shangri-La just have some other kind of aesthetic going on that I do like. I do like it a lot. Call of the Dead tries something. It doesn't resonate with me nearly as much, but I like the boat and the lighthouse theme. I think the map design lets it down, and maybe that's why I don't care about it as much. But what else is there to be said about Shangri-La, dude? Shangri-La, it's so tight. It's just so tightly designed. I think you can probably tell by now between Five and Shang and Verruct kind of what my general preference is, and I like the shorter games. I don't like going super long, so yeah, Shang is the best map ever. Um, and that's why I was saying earlier, Five, it could be right here. It could, because I think there is a good degree of separation between Shang and Five. So I might actually just put Five here, because I think Shang is significantly better. But okay, Moon. Uh, I don't know. I'm probably just gonna throw Moon in B. I I'm mixed on Moon. I'm really mixed on Moon. I feel like a lot of people are. Um, it does so much wrong that for everything it does that's cool, there's just something wrong that just detracts from it. I really like starting out on Moon and running around in Area 51 or whatever. That's cool. But if Speed spawns in instead of Jug, it sucks. Um, it's really nice to start Moon with Jug because uh, one, it makes the anti-gravity a little bit less annoying when zombies start being a little bit behaving a little bit weird with the engine. But it also, once you get to the point where you want to switch to the hacker, it also makes it so you can run through the areas without the breathing suit. Uh, you know, much more reliably. So it just makes the game more flexible when you get Jug at the start. I feel like they maybe should have just had Jug on Area 51 and just not had Speed. I don't think it. I think this is an instance where the random perk hurts the map because you have to go all the way back to Earth to get your Jug at that point. Or you have to go all the way back to Earth to pack punch, and then you have to go to Earth again in order for the next time to get Speed, and because you probably weren't buying Speed until later in the game anyway. So it adds tedium. I feel like the perk locations on this map in general are just not really intentionally thought out. I feel like they kind of get in the way of the game flow of Moon a little bit. Um, Besides that, the anti-gravity, I don't know. I'm honestly leaning on putting it even in C, just because like it's not really what I want to do if I'm playing zombies. I hate that there's no sound effects on the moon. You can't hear shit behind you. I hate that the anti-gravity makes you jump randomly. I hate that like, on one hand, I kind of like that, you know, especially solo, you want to use the hacker, and I kind of like that you have to rush through certain areas of the map because there's no oxygen. But I also kind of hate it too. It just is annoying and seems kind of arbitrary again. I also don't really like that Moon just turns into running around in the biodome, even though it's kind of cool to have PhD Flopper and go on the little jump pads as like an escape. But it's just a really open training area. I hate the excavator. Like, I get it, I get the idea, but the excavator just isn't a fun or interesting way. Like, it doesn't reward you, it just penalizes you for not doing tedious bullshit. So, yeah, and the astronaut sucks. The astronaut is another attempt at a George-like enemy, but it's worse because with George, you can like sneak past him, you can run right past him. With the napalm zombie, you can use him to your advantage. The astronaut, on the one hand, he's easy to kill, so he's not a problem, but you're also not incentivized to kill him because he comes back with more health. So you want to just wait till later in the game to start killing him so you can, or at least I think that's how his health scales. I don't know how it works entirely. Maybe I'm retarded, but the astronaut, you can't sneak by him. He'll just grab you. And especially if you got your perk from Area 51, it just sucks to lose your perk to that fucking piece of shit. It just sucks. It's not fun. I don't think it's a necessary wrinkle to this map. I don't think it was a good addition. There's already enough going on in this map that distinguishes it from others. We already have stalking enemies in other maps. Moon has a problem of having too much going on. It also has a problem of uh, yeah, it has too much going on. It experiments too much. It also has a problem that Black Ops 2 maps had, and this is where that next form of zombies started taking shape, where it was quest based or Easter egg based, and I just really don't like that in general. So, also, I don't even know if you can do that Easter egg solo. Not that I would even fucking want to do it anyway. I literally did none of the Easter eggs on any of these maps except throwing the fucking monkey in the furnace on Reese. Um, yeah, I really don't have a ton about or a ton to say about Moon. I think it's I think it's kind of bad. I'm actually going to put it in C. I don't think it's very good. I can respect that they wanted to try stuff. I can respect what it does uniquely, uh, and it's aesthetically kind of cool. And the biodome can be fun. And the hacker is fun. The hacker is cool. It is fun. It maybe takes a little bit too long to use for certain things, which is annoying, but I don't think the upsides weigh out the downsides with Moon. I think there's more wrong with Moon than there is good with Moon. So I really don't have a lot to say about it besides that. So yeah, this is about it, I think. Yeah, I wonder, again, if anybody even watches this ever. I wonder if they just skipped to the end of this 2 hour fucking autism session and saw Shang and S tier and turned off the video. Shang and five up here, above Darius, above Ascension, Kino, and fucking C tier. Yeah, I don't know, but this is what I think, honestly, and yeah, I think I'd play Shang above everything. I'd play five above Darius. I might play Verruct above Darius, but I think it's objectively not as well designed. So I think Darius belongs here as like the de facto quintessential zombies map. Call of the Dead and Ascension have things going for it, but they kind of fall flat for me. Shinonuma, it's a foundational map. I think it's more fun than Moon for sure, and it's it's got similar problems as Kino, but it's not as boring, to be honest. It's just not as boring because on Shinonuma you feel fine ending the game at round 20. But on Kino, you feel like now I finally just got up, got set up, and got started. I got my pack punch done and whatever. And now I should keep playing, but I always fucking die in around 20 to 25 on Kino because it's so boring. I start doing shit that is stupid, or I start not paying attention or whatever. Dude, I don't know. Fuck Kino, honestly. And Noct is, I don't know. It's not. So yeah, that's think that's it. So again, I've never done anything like this before. I probably repeated myself a ton. I probably embarrassed myself here a little bit, just sounding like an idiot, but that's fine. Um, Again, I'm just gonna fucking upload this shit. I just did it for fun, so whatever. But on the off chance that anybody does watch this fucking travesty, uh, tell me if I'm a retard or what. But it's Sunday night. It's pretty late. I got to go to work tomorrow, so that's about it. I think that'll wrap it up.